Howdy, and welcome back to Wannabe Letterboxd with me, your host, Fabiana Rosario. And this week we get into, drumroll please, Sentimental Value, directed by Joachim Trier. God forbid that I probably pronounced his last name, probably butchered it. But it is actually, I think, one of maybe two, I believe, of one of the Oscars or Oscar-nominated films this year that was an international film, like gained a lot of traction. This film features Elle Fanning, Stellan Skarsgård, and a whole lot of other excellent performers. And yeah, this film is one of the more devastating ones, I feel like, of the season. It tackles subjects of memory and loss and family trauma and dynamics, and it's overall just a bit of a complicated story to tackle. But figure we'll just get into it and start talking about the film. Okay, so the description of this movie is that sisters Nora and Agnes reunite with their estranged father, Gustav, who is a director, and he offers Nora a role in what he hopes to be his comeback film. She turns it down, soon discovers he's given it to Elle Fanning, an eager Hollywood star, and the two siblings now have to navigate a complicated relationship that they already have with their father, while also dealing with this new actress in their life. So, at its core, the movie is about family, grief, and, what we attach meaning to. It's about memory and trauma, all the business. And he uses physical items throughout the film, so like letters, any family heirloom, not necessarily just as props, but they're definitely the emotional, I feel like, mementos of the film. So these objects become ultimately kind of like, they become the placeholders for the unresolved relationships in the film. So it, brings up the question is like, are we holding on to memories just for the sake of it, or do they have a hold on us and holding us back? So one of the most interesting themes, I feel like, of this movie, we're talking about memory, but it's really interesting how the movie tackles how memory is subjective. So two characters remember the same event completely differently, and I feel like that's very true to real life. And it's very interesting that, like, there's no clear truth of the matter of what happened, but it's just the emotional versions of it, because, there's always, everyone says, like, three sides to every story: mine, yours, and the truth. And so it's what makes the film, I feel so realistic. It really does mirror how we as human beings, normal people, live our everyday lives and experience conflict and emotion and trauma, and the way we all process things differently. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the film. And I feel like also with the film, I think it's really exciting that it was one of the foreign films nominated for Best Picture, and I feel like it really marked sort of a change in what films the Oscars recognize. Like, they already nominated Sinners, a horror film, for Best Picture, Amy Madigan for a horror movie, usually films that don't get recognized. And I feel like foreign films often fall under the radar in regards to, like, Best Picture, like the big nominees, because obviously they fall under the foreign film category and often they get overlooked. So it's really exciting, and it really makes their Oscar nomination truly matter. So it wasn't just recognized for its technical excellence, like the success of the film, period, but it also represented a shift towards some emotionally introspective storytelling, which, again, is different than, sometimes a typical Best Picture feature like F1, which was action-packed and XYZ and, big budget, versus this film is, low budget and foreign film and international, and just represents, it's really awesome. And it definitely proved that a character-driven story can still be a big part of the whole conversation. Now, overall, the performances of this film are incredible. Obviously, Elle Fanning delivers. Stellan Skarsgård is a class act, and our breakthrough star, or not even breakthrough, she's always been incredible, but Renate Reinsve, who plays Nora, I obviously horrible at pronouncing her name, so forgive me, but she is incredible. Snagged a Best Actress nomination, as did Elle Fanning, snagged a supporting actress. Stellan Skarsgård as well snagged supporting actor. So really, the film, it's the ensemble is amazing, and obviously, since it's character driven, they bring these characters to life and bring this story in such a beautiful way, and it's very natural. The acting of the film is so genuine and human that it just makes the story as a whole resonate that much deeper. Now, as for its performance at the 2026 Oscars, so the Oscars now have passed. So now I'm talking about really not necessarily its chance at Best Picture, but I feel like just the presence it had at the Oscars and what that kind of means for the film and the industry. So at this Oscars, it had a strong presence. I mean, people were recognizing Elle Fanning and Renata and Stellan, and so it obviously came with multiple nominations, including Best Picture, which is huge. And which signaled already how seriously the Academy took this film. And although it didn't sweep the night, it did take home Best Foreign Film, so it did win in that regard. And yeah, it of course picked up very key nominations, and I feel like just really felt deserved. The film is very actor driven, and so it was nice to see them all get recognized in that way. And honestly, it's low-key, I feel like the film it has a greater legacy than I feel like just its recognition at the Academy. I mean, it's a beautiful film about memory and trauma and family, and it also is just a marker for how foreign films can now be taken seriously in the industry, especially and with the Academy in particular. And yeah, it's a nice marker for how the culture is shifting, I feel. And yeah, so Sentimental Value isn't really a film that you just kind of watch and move on with your life. It's like Hamnet in that way. It's one that you kind of sit with in a dark room for hours afterwards, lingering. But it makes you think about your own life and your actions and your relationships with people and how you associate memories and how you navigate your own relationships. And I feel like it's just a really beautiful film that does that. So yeah, and for next week, I think we're going to dive into, drumroll please, the one, the only Marty Supreme, and especially with all the controversy surrounding Timothée Chalamet, I feel like it's going to be a very fun episode to dive into, and I'm also intrigued to see the film, because it did gain a lot of traction, so yeah, thanks for tagging along with me, guys.